Welcome to Cabin Flannel. Tonight, I am your host, DJ CJ. My name's Caleb.
Oh my gosh.
Ryan didn't want me to do
we talked
that.
about this before.
Ryan didn't want me to do that, but I couldn't.
Geez.
I was looking at him, and I was getting the signals that I should just do it.
This
so
is
I did it.
Cabin Flannel, episode 2.
Episode 2. It is episode 2. I forgot to say
That's
that.
the thing we talked about before, but it's whatever.
Yeah, I was more focused on the DJ CJ.
I can tell.
Oh, brother. Okay. Well, tonight we have some content for you.
Believe it or not.
Believe it or not, we have content for you. We're going to talk about some of our work experiences, some of our difficult customers. Yes, I'm sure if you've ever had a job in the service industry, you can relate.
Oh, yeah.
To a certain extent. We're also going to talk about what I did yesterday, and that was go to a sensory deprivation tank. So I don't know if you guys have any idea what that is, but it's basically this tank that it's totally closed off. You walk in, you close the door. There's about 10 inches of very salty water on the floor, and you just float for I did it for 90 minutes, and it is a strange experience. Other than it wasn't 90 minutes straight. So I was told, before I walked in there, I was told that it's going to take me a little while to get used to it because it's it's kind of a weird feeling. You're just floating around, and it's like, why am I in here? It's this dark, room with water in it. What the heck's happening? So I was told it was going to be a little weird, and I tried. I got in, and I tried to just relax immediately and just try to give myself over to the experience, and then I couldn't do it, and my head, they have a pillow that you can use. It's like this piece of foam that keeps your head up, and I didn't use that.
Is that what a pillow is?
Yeah, well, it's basically a pillow. I mean, it keeps your head up. It works. It
Just
operates
in case you
as
guys
a
didn't
pillow.
know what a pillow is.
It operates as
a piece of foam that keeps your head up.
It's a piece of exactly. That's exactly what a pillow is. So there was one of those that I could have used, but I didn't initially. And I got my hair wet, I got up to I think I was going to hit the light, or hit the music or try something. And I got some water in my eye, and that stuff burns. Water. Yeah, it is so salty. It burns like the dickens. It's terrible. And I couldn't see anything. It was dark in there. I was reaching around trying to find the door, and I got out and immediately got a towel and just rubbed my eyes trying to it burns so bad. But other than that, so after that happened, it got a lot better. I used the pillow. I got in there.
That's a thing made of foam that keeps your head up.
Yes, in case you didn't know that. That's what it is. So I used that. That kept my head above the water, and I was able to relax a little bit more. And then, so I entered this state, and I don't think I quite fell asleep.
You left Kansas?
Yep. I entered a whole different state. I teleported to a different state.
Oh, that's crazy.
I know. It really worked. It took me to a whole different place. But no, what really happened is I kind of it felt like I fell asleep. That feeling when you wake up from a nap and you don't know how long it's been?
It happened to me this morning.
Oh, yeah? You wake up and
I set my alarms an hour before I need to be up. Because I know that I'm not going to get up at the first alarm.
Yep.
And so I'll just...
Where? How many did you set? 8?
I think I only set 5 today, but I needed to set more because I slept 15 minutes longer than I needed to.
Yep. Very nice.
But yeah, the first alarm happens, turn it off and just fall back asleep. Feels like it's been 2 minutes. You look, it's been an hour and 15 minutes. So, yeah.
Flies by, exactly.
Know what that's like.
So that feeling, I had that feling where I felt like I just woke up, but I had been thinking the whole time. You're just in this dark tank with nothing but your thoughts. There's nothing else to do but float around.
Place.
Yeah, well, yeah, it can be a little freaky. So it felt like I just woke up and I didn't know how long I was in the tank. I was like, I could have been in here for days. I wouldn't even know. I wasn't, of course. It was only a 90-minute session. Yeah, well, yeah.
I'm sure there were indicators.
I was convinced that I had been in there for days. But no, it was just a weird feeling. And then and people talk about Rhett and Link. They did this, and they kind of talked about their experience where Rhett was I saw faces. I experienced something. I had hallucinations. And
do you think he might have just played that up a little bit just to
He might have
For the
played
show,
it up.
you know.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
like you should be doing right now.
like I
Come
should
on,
be.
kid.
Yeah, I should make it more interesting than it
Exactly,
really was.
yeah.
It was.
Now, what'd you
it
see
was
again?
I saw faces. I saw my life flash before my eyes.
Is that what the
No,
salt
none
water
of
got
that
in your eye?
happened. The only thing, I mean, I will mention, like, I think one thing that happened, you know, like those things that you see when you look at a light and you look away. I forget what they're called, but they're like,
I know there's
yeah,
I know
like
what you're
the
talking
retina burns or whatever. I don't know what they're called. That
Retina
sounds
burns?
terrible.
Jeez,
Retina
like,
burns.
stare at
That
the
sounds
sun
like a
recently?
form of torture. But those I could see though because it was totally dark, and whether you have your eyes closed or open, it looks the same. And so like I could see some of those, and then your imagination just kind of runs wild, and you just kind of like. You know, you just think about it, you're like, oh, look at that. Like, you know, you can imagine, it feels like you're just your mind because your body's just floating in this water. And like the most tactile feeling you get is the water sloshing. And like, that's about it. So you just kind of feel like a mind like floating in this darkness. And so it just gives you a lot of time to think.
That's how I feel every day.
Is that, oh, wow, that's really depressing. Do you need to talk to somebody?
I'm talking to you,
should
right
talk
now.
to me. Yeah. Just pour it out.
That's
Just
what- I thought
open
that's
it.
what
Just
This
give-
is. It's not being recorded.
this is therapy. This is actually just therapy for Ryan. This whole thing, Cabin Flannel is just his safe place.
Yeah, because patient doctor.
Patient doctor confidentiality.
Yeah, that's not a thing here.
Yeah. So nobody tell anybody.
watch
Yeah. Nobody tell anybody what Ryan says. Just act like none of it actually happened. Yeah, so that was my experience. It was unique. I think you would like it, Ryan. Like, I think it'd be something, at least to try once.
Yeah.
Because I know, you kind of like, being on your own and kind of having your own time. So, like, if for that I think it would be cool just to try at least once. I don't know if I would do it again. Like, I don't know.
You would do it with me. I mean, not like together, but
like in the same tank.
Yeah, man.
You know how creepy that would be? You'd be floating around and just feel another body. When did you get in here?
This is your conscience.
You have to be naked to get in there. So.
Oh well, yeah. It was probably.
I mean,
I don't think we're quite there yet.
We're close friends, but I don't know if we're not close. You know what I'm saying? But it was a cool experience. But a lot of people go there like weekly, like it's like a thing they sign up for and they just keep coming back. And I don't think I would do that. I think I would.
Yeah.
I did it once. Maybe down the road, if somebody was like, "Hey, you want to go do this sensory deprivation thing with me?" I'd be like, "Yeah, sure." But it's not like it wasn't life changing. It wasn't like, "Oh my gosh, I'm on a different plane of existence now." Like that didn't happen.
Darn.
I know.
That would've made
It's
for
too
such a
bad. It
better
would have made a better
podcast.
story. See
Gosh.
now you just pointed out how lame that story actually was.
That's
Thanks.
my job here. Is just to
I should have
critique
lied.
everything
I
you
should have
do.
just been like, I saw
God.
I saw God. I met God in the tank.
I met her. Yeah,
I met her.
You heard me. Blew my
and
mind.
she was magnificent. It was amazing. The voice of God. Yeah, that didn't happen.
But next
Well,
time.
I think we should mention. I didn't start the timer, so
That's fine.
we'll eyeball it. We'll
have
when
the
we start.
mental timer.
Yeah, the mental timer. We have the mental timer. We'll just go. We'll
might
just
have
go off
started
our
now,
natural clocks. So. Oh
Just go ahead and start it.
yeah,
We'll just go from there.
Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah, this
Actually,
is
it's
great
probably about
busing
right,
right
now that we
now.
think about it. Yeah, we're figuring things out as we go. So let's talk about work.
Oh, my favorite topic.
Yes, everyone's favorite topic.
right,
So
you
Ryan
wanna-
and I. So
Do you want to kind of go through your job history?
my job history? Sure,
Your
I'll talk about
Very
that.
long and extensive.
Yeah, it's my very
list.
long and excellent job history. Any employers out there? Because I could use some money.
I mean, you could
So-
just work your normal job.
I could just work. Well, I can only work so many. Well, yeah, that's true. I could keep working at Family Video. That's a good point. So my first real job was at Hy-Vee,
which is
a grocery
local-
store
is it local?
in. It's not really local. They started in Iowa, I believe.
Okay. Is it a Midwest?
It's a Midwest
Okay.
thing. Yeah.
So
So kind of just they're in the Midwest. Like
so
that,
it's
and
like
that's
a
about it.
Dillon's
nice-
or Kroger or
Yeah.
grocery store.
Slightly bigger, and people say it's nicer. Like people are always saying, "Oh,
Yeah.
Hy-Vee's so nice and stuff." And
It's
and
supposed to be, yeah.
it's supposed to be a little higher quality or whatever, and a helpful smile in every aisle. But it's really not that different. It's not much different from Dillon's or like any of those other grocery
It doesn't
stores.
have self-checkout, which is the reason I don't
It
go
doesn't have self-checkout, and that's something because they pride themselves on customer service.
But
and so that's their
customer
reasoning
service
for
to
not.
me would be letting me check out my own stuff, not have to
Yes.
talk to a single person
And that's
on
fair.
my grocery trip.
I think that's fair. I actually don't know why that's just they're holding true to their values,
which is good.
It's respectable. It sets them apart, but I think they're going to be losing customers before too long, just because people don't really like to talk. And they told us like part of our training at Hy-Vee was to talk to the customers, like to be friendly and to like communicate with them, which I actually enjoyed. Like that was one part of the job that I actually liked genuinely, because like I like talking to people and I like learning, and I felt like that was one thing I could take from the job. Was like other people's stories and experiences from what I could talk in like a minute,
Yeah.
But I like that part of the job. But customers, they wear on you after a while. That is the biggest.
Yes, they do.
They do. They just wear you down. So I started out as a courtesy clerk, which is the technical term for the person who goes and gets carts outside. In case you didn't know, they're called courtesy clerks. So that was me. That was my first job. And I actually applied as a cashier. And I was told I was going to be a cashier. And then I came in for my first day of work, and they're like, you're a courtesy clerk. And I was making less money than other people. And I was like, well, all right, crap. But I did work my way up to cashier.
all the way
up. All the way
what did
started
James
at the bottom.
make his way up to after
Well, you
like
know
6
what?
months?
James
his friend,
can go.
his friend, what did he like?
He's
a
started
year
out-
younger than us. He started. What?
He went into produce, but he started out
Okay.
as courtesy clerk. So he started at the same place that I did.
Just made it up
But he went, he skipped the cashier thing entirely and went to produce.
Okay.
Which is more pay, but more time and responsibility and stuff.
Yeah.
Which it's kind of a trade off.
And I'd like to point out that everyone who worked at Hy-Vee or everyone who applied to Hy-Vee got the job except for me.
Yes, Ryan did apply.
Even though
We
I
applied
had
at the
two
same.
people,
He had
I knew two people who worked there,
and
who
one
were
of them
high
was
up
the
in
same
company.
one I had.
Exactly.
Yeah, we told him about
We talked
you.
to the same people on the same day, and I had an extra
Uh-huh.
reference. And no.
I don't know what the deal was about that. Like, I don't know what was going on because Nick, who was the guy that I knew, and he was a cool guy. I really liked him. I got to know him a little bit. But yeah, I got hired, for some reason you didn't. And then James did. Like, I think it was just bad timing. I think it was just
we applied and talked to the same person on the same day.
on the same day. But
So-
so it was bad timing, and they picked me. No, okay.
That's fine.
But granted, so
Who's the boss now? Just
I know.
saying.
You know what? that is a fair point. So I started out as a courtesy clerk, and I didn't mind the job. It was fine. It was good.
You hated the job.
I did by
hated
the
the
end.
job.
By the end, I really, really just hated it because you have one bad customer and it can ruin your day.
Mm-hmm.
Like. Generally, people are pretty nice. Like, you have more positive experiences than you do negative.
And
But
especially at Hy-Vee, because like he kind of mentioned earlier, it is a little bit nicer. The prices are a tad bit higher, maybe.
yeah,
And so it's
they charge a little bit more.
and it's on a nice part of town, and it's generally the customers are pretty nice.
And they're nice, but it just takes one negative experience to kind of just ruin a day. And I wish it wasn't like that. Like, I've tried to remember it's not like that. Just look at the positive stuff, but it's tough, especially when people are just total jerks. There was one. Okay, so Thomas, we mentioned him in the last episode. Our friend Thomas, he also worked at Hy-Vee. So
he also
James,
worked
who
there.
we mentioned, Thomas, like everybody worked at Hy-Vee except for poor Ryan. But you know what? He's doing better. He's better off than the rest of us now, I'd say. Well, you're a manager. Just embrace it. Just take the compliment.
Yeah,
just
I'm not gonna talk crap about my job that I still work at.
Yeah, don't do it. I love my job. My job is perfect. It's great.
I'm not even gonna say the company.
I'm not even gonna say. We're gonna have to eventually.
No.
Okay, you can just say video store, I guess.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we've already said it.
I think we have to.
Yeah.
But Thomas worked there, and he was not as amicable with the customers as I was, because that was one of my favorite parts of the job, was talking with them.
Yeah.
But this woman, she was in a rush, or she was like upset about something.
This
And
isn't him doing
doing what?
the illegal thing, is it?
I don't think it's the illegal.
Okay,
What did
okay.
he do that was illegal?
I'll
I don't know
look-
that story.
not gonna
What
talk
the
about that on
heck
the
was that?
podcast.
Okay, we're gonna call you out, Thomas. What did you do that's illegal?
Not gonna call him. I just want to make sure.
Something that's illegal. That's great. No, that wasn't my story at all. So this woman came in, and Thomas was like, he was sick, I think, and he had like a runny nose, and she was like, She must have been upset about something. She was having a bad day. She was in a rush.
Is this when he was still a cashier? Or is this when he was working in food?
This is when he was a cashier.
Okay.
Yeah, this is when he was a cashier.
He now still works at Hy-Vee, but he works in the
kitchen.
In the kitchen, yeah.
Yeah.
So.
And so I was bagging for this lady, and she and Thomas was the cashier, and
poor lady.
I know. Well, he wasn't the most friendly of cashiers, and so she was a little, pissed at that point. And then he didn't say anything rude, like super mean.
Yeah, if you're not feeling well, the last place you want to be is work, and so it's really hard to.
Yeah, it's hard to be like
overtly
friendly.
Yeah.
But she told him he had the sniffles or something, and she's like, there's a thing called what did she say? It's the medicine. It was a medicine. Like take some take some Aleve or something. She's like, take some. What's that? What's it called, man?
Claritin Clear.
Not Claritin. That's the. I can't remember it. That one.
Oh yeah, that's my favorite.
Yeah, you know
I
what
use
it
it
is.
every day.
So she told him just to do that, and she walked out and just walked away, and I was like, ouch. But people were just grumpy. I mean, you see a lot of people during the day at Hy-Vee, so it bound to happen. But let's hear some from.
Well,
from
how long did
Video,
you work there?
2 years.
Okay, and then did you go straight to the video store after that from Hy-Vee?
There was a bit of a break. I went to college. And then
for the summer.
Okay, I worked
at
the video store.
Yeah, so you left Hy-Vee to go to college.
Yeah,
and then you had like a college job, but you didn't deal with customers.
Yeah, it was a desk job. That's my second job, I guess. Technically, it's like I worked in an office and just kind of did like paperwork stuff. It was honestly really boring, and it was the hardest. I had to work so hard to stay awake. Like it was dangerous. Like I had to play music, and I had to do anything I could to stay awake.
Did you say this was dangerous?
It was dangerous.
Your desk job where you might fall asleep because you're so bored is dangerous. Live a life on the edge, Caleb.
It was dangerous because I could have fallen asleep and then just what would I don't know. Like the good thing is
you just didn't show up half the time, so they probably wouldn't have cared anyway.
They probably wouldn't have cared. They were very laid back because honestly, my job doesn't really matter that much over there. I could not show up, and they could still operate at their normal capacity. Like they would be fine. But I felt self-conscious about falling asleep, and it's happened before. I did fall asleep at my desk, and I just felt so bad.
Here's a question, sidetracking just a little bit. Have you ever fallen asleep in school?
Actually, I've done the thing where I bob my head and I almost fall asleep, but I don't completely fall asleep. I haven't done that.
Done it once, and it was in guitar class, which was my favorite
class. Yeah, that's a cool class.
8th grade, but it was on a day where our teacher was gone, and so we were watching this super weird Beatles movie. It was drawn like a cartoon.
I Am the Walrus.
I have no idea. But
there's some weird stuff out there.
God, it was weird. It was just the whole thing was like a gigantic acid trip, and I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
And I fell asleep in that class. So,
have you seen Across the Universe?
I don't.
That one's kind of, it's about the Beatles, and it's it's not a bad movie, but
this wasn't about the Beatles. It had the Beatles were the characters.
They were the
going
characters
on a trip or something. It was
going on a trip.
It was a trip.
Little Yellow Submarines.
That song was in there.
Yeah. So, see, it's a conspiracy.
It's
there's all sorts of weird stuff.
But getting back to job history, let's see. We applied at Dairy Queen together.
We did. That was our first. That was the first time we tried. It was time to get a job. It was we were in high school. Everyone was getting jobs, and we're like, we need to. It's just time.
My parents said if I want a car, I need a job, which is fair.
I mean, that's fair. Yeah, I just wanted a job because I'm I don't want to be the kid who just doesn't have that experience.
Yeah.
And then plus I could use the money.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to save up for school. That was the other half, but. It made a difference. I mean, I think about that sometimes. I'm like, did my working really make me any money for school? And it did my freshman year because I actually used that money to survive. And now I need to work more than I do.
Yeah,
I do not make enough money to provide for myself.
Yeah. So we applied at Dairy Queen together.
Yeah.
And then probably I think it was just Hy-Vee next.
I think so.
He got the job. I didn't. I applied at Dillon's.
Unfortunately.
And finally, just because I knew I needed a job and I knew I could get this job, I applied at Sonic.
Yeah, because your brother worked at Sonic, or he still does work at Sonic.
Yes, like I said, my brother he's 14 months older than me, so just over a year. Mm-hmm. He it was his first job. He was a cook at Sonic, and
Yep.
in
Was
a year,
he a manager by the time?
in a year he made his way up to. He was offered the manager position, but he had like 3 months of training he had to do.
Uh-huh.
And it was in those 3 months that I got hired because once he was a manager, I couldn't be hired because of nepotism, I guess.
Nepotism.
And so in the 3 months when he was
like hashtag nepotism.
so in the 3 months where he was still doing training, he wasn't officially a manager, and they were able to hire me.
Still able to hire you.
So I was a car hop at Sonic,
And those were good
which
times.
is a fast food.
Not for you, but for me, because I got free food.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. I didn't get free food. What are you talking about?
Yeah, you got free food,
No.
right? No, you got discounted food.
I got 50% off.
You got 50% off, and
Yeah.
then
Free
you got
drinks.
free drinks though
Free
when you were
drinks.
working,
Yeah.
right? See,
Whenever.
that's okay.
Free
We
drinks.
didn't get free food, but we got
Free drinks whenever.
Free drinks whenever. We got
Yeah.
free drinks. That's what I meant.
So
not free
Sonic
food.
wasn't a bad job. I started in August. I was there for almost exactly a year. I left the next August. I think it was the same week. I don't remember. I don't
Was
know
it
if down to
really?
the day,
Dude, that is
but it was
crazy.
It was almost exactly a year, and it honestly wasn't a bad job. There was one manager there, not my brother, who just everyone hated.
I
I'm
think
not gonna say
I
his
remember
name.
him. Yeah.
He was just a jerk, and he made that job just terrible.
So hard.
There
That's
was-
the worst. If there's like a manager that's just
There was one night where usually there's 2 or 3 cooks. This is like a dinner time. 5 o'clock to 5 to 10 ish.
dinner rush. Yep.
2 or 3 cooks, 3 to 5 car hops, and a couple managers. This manager at 5 o'clock, right when I got there, he said, "Hey, kitchen, if you if you guys all give me like $50 each, I'll let you go
Yeah,
home."
I'll let you go home.
And so we sent
That's
the whole kitchen home at 5 o'clock, right before dinner
hour.
rush.
So what? Who
he
cooked the burgers?
He worked the kitchen along with one of our other car hops. So not even a cook.
Yeah.
And
Does
so
he know
we
what he's
had
doing?
A manager, the one manager that was there, and the car hop in the kitchen. So we were a car hop short, and
What
we didn't have
the
the manager
heck?
up front.
That sounds
And
like
we got
bad
on,
management.
terrible management.
Terrible management.
But he would do
What's he
anything for a
thinking?
quick buck. He would do
For
anything
$50?
Yeah.
He made his life so much harder for like. For
No, he made
$50.
our lives so much
He made
harder. He
everybody's
didn't give a
life.
crap.
Yeah, he made everybody's life so much harder for
Yeah.
$50. That is so just weird. Like, did he
Yeah.
just really need the money?
I don't know, man. But he was the kind of guy who'd work 90 hours a week for overtime, and
Holy cow, dude!
he
That is
guess
just
didn't have a life and
insane. I guess he
liked
just
money,
wanted to
I
work.
guess.
Yeah, he really needed that money.
But
Yeah, I don't
I mean,
know,
to
man.
each their
It's-
own. But so yeah, Sonic wasn't. It honestly wasn't a terrible job. I roller skating was the best.
Yeah,
part.
yeah. I remember. I'm
got
so
to the
glad
part-
you did that. That was pretty cool.
loved the roller skating part, and I
You went old school.
honestly, I may have when I got my new job, I may have kept my job at Sonic if one, it weren't for him being there,
Yeah,
which he left a few months later anyway, and two, I got to be. There's a lot of turnover at Sonic, and so I was there for a year, and I was one of the more experienced car hops, and I was. I don't know if I was the best, but I was one of the best at the drive-through.
Right. Yep.
And the drive-through is if you're doing headset, which is just taking the orders and making drinks. That is the easiest night you're going to have, but
Really?
you don't get tips,
That's right.
and that's
yeah.
the biggest thing.
I-
And they
that's
would
one
put me on
thing-
headset every time I worked.
Yeah.
and so
you didn't make
my
as much
pay
money.
just-
Your pay went down.
Yeah,
See,
it
I
just
remember that.
fell.
I didn't used to tip the car hops even at Sonic, and that in case you guys
And
don't
not-
know, that's like
Not everyone does, and it's
Yeah.
not like you need to because we're still getting like car hops still get paid minimum wage. So I mean, so
right.
they're not
so
making
they're not
$2
like
an
making
hour.
like $2,
But
but it's
I
nice.
mean-
I mean, help them out. Like, and I'm conscious of it now. Like now I try to do it, and so yeah. Hey, if anybody out there, in case you didn't know, it's actually pretty. They really
appreciate
helps them
it.
out.
We
Yeah.
appreciate it.
It helps them out.
And so yeah, like just because I was one of the best, they wanted
They
me
wanted
working
you on
drive-through. and
That's
so,
just kind of unfortunate. Like
Yeah.
you lose out because you're good at your job. Which
yeah, and so that kind of sucks, and that's the reason I quit the job. I did get another job,
right. Is
which,
this
which allowed me to quit.
was this at the Christian bookstore?
yes,
Is this
Lifeway,
at Lifeway.
a Christian bookstore.
None of these are sponsors, by the way.
Sadly, but
I don't know if we're going to help their sales by talking about them.
It
but-
probably will hurt them. But
If
yeah,
anything.
so Sonic honestly wasn't a horrible job except for those couple things. I went to church with the manager of the bookstore.
Yeah.
and I got to know him.
Was that
and
was that Michael? Did you go to church?
No,
no,
it was,
somebody
Paul.
else. Oh, Paul. I don't know if I know Paul, but
probably don't. He left like a month after I started.
Okay.
And so I talked to Paul. Probably it was just before April, and I got the job in August. So it was probably March. I talked to Paul, see if you guys needed help, and he was like, "Yeah, you go ahead and apply." I realized I wasn't old enough yet. I think you had to be,
you had to be
17.
Oh, you had to be 17? That's kind of a weird age. Why would they pick
1
17?
year above where I was, but my birthday was the next month. So,
Okay.
so we told me just go ahead and apply.
Yeah,
and
I remember.
Let me know.
Yep.
If they end up needing help.
They need. I remember that happening actually.
Didn't hear anything for a couple months. One day I'm just sitting at home and get a text from him. He's like, "Hey man, you still looking for a job?" I was like, "Heck yeah."
Yeah.
Easiest interview I ever had. Went in. He just asked me a little bit more about myself and asked when I could start. Went right away. I gave my 2 weeks to the manager I hated.
Oh yeah.
And
but that was satisfying.
I went in and he was like, "What are you in here for?" I put in your 2 weeks. I was like, "Actually, yeah, I am." And he kind of looked at me like, "Really?"
Really?
Yep. And like I said, I was one of the best car hops. So
yeah, it was.
I wasn't.
It was a
the
loss.
best. Yes.
Yeah, that you they were losing you. Like,
yeah,
you know that.
but I mean, they were fine.
Yeah, they're gonna be okay. So many people go in and out of Sonic. I mean, even James was there for like a few days.
Yeah,
do you remember that?
Yeah, I do remember.
He was in the kitchen for like 2 days, and then he's like, "I can't. I'm not gonna do this.
Oh,
this
I could
is
not be a cook.
ridiculous." Yeah, and so he quit. That was hilarious.
So I was at Sonic for, like I said, just at a year. I ended up working at Lifeway for.
You worked there for a while.
I think a year and 9 months.
Yeah, that seems right. Almost like 2 years.
But while I was working at Lifeway, I loved that job for the first year. So
yeah, you did. Yeah,
because I was still in high school, and so I would normally just close. And closing shifts were a lot just calmer and more relaxed. Usually work with one or two other people.
It's nice, like a small shop, that like it gets slower, at certain times. It's just kind of you and your work. Like I like that too.
But it was just me, and there were two main people I closed with, Michelle and Tara, and they were both awesome people. I loved working with them.
Yeah,
and I'd work with them, 4 out of 5 days I closed, and. Because that was so fun. Just work at 4 or 5 hour shifts, close, and just the last hour was just counting money and goofing off in the background.
Goofing off. It's good if you're working with people you like too. Like
exactly.
Yeah, that makes a huge difference.
But then when I graduated high school, they started putting me on morning shifts. I was working with people I didn't know very well. A lot more people, just a lot busier. And Michael was the manager. The guy who hired me, he left just at a month after I started. Which
Paul,
sucked.
is that
Paul? Yeah. He was an awesome guy. So that kind of stunk, but at least I got on before.
At least you made it, yeah.
He got promoted, so I mean, it's a good thing.
It's good.
But the new manager they hired, Michael, he's a character.
He's a funny guy. I met him so when I moved up to Omaha, I started going to a new church. And he was there. He went up there there was a conference.
Yep.
And I was playing. So Ryan and I, we played in church bands, right? So I was playing for the band at this church, and we had this conference. And they're like, "Hey Caleb, can you play for the conference and stuff with us?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And I saw Mike there, and he was like selling something. He was like working for Lifeway, like selling their stuff. And I was like, "Mike?" And he's like, Michael? Sorry, I called him Mike.
I've never heard anyone
call him Mike.
I've never heard anyone call Mike before.
I shortened everybody's name.
You've never shortened my name.
Well, I can't. Your name's Ryan. What am I supposed to... Rhino?
That's what Michael called me. Michael called me Rhino.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, that's true. So I ran into him up there, and it was just the weirdest... He did not recognize me.
Yeah.
I saw him.
Tell
I had
me
to
about
say
you,
yes because I said, "Remember me? I'm Ryan's friend, and we've met before." And he's like, "Oh yeah." And so he was a funny guy. He was always very smiley and
very super energetic, always very happy, that kind of thing. There were a couple things with the job though that just weren't great. That Michael and I kind of. I didn't argue, but kind of butted heads against.
Yeah, you went separate ways.
It was. We had this thing called Ministry Plus, which is these $5 items that we're supposed to try to sell people, and we're supposed to get like 10 or 20% transactions. And a $5 item, it's not something I'm good at. I'm not good at selling,
right? because
And
it's
with family
like
videos
if it's
watching,
a
then I'm
dollar.
a great
Yeah,
salesman.
but if it's a dollar, you know, it's like
if
people
it's,
will
you know,
people will
dollar
give a
candy,
dollar.
or do you want to
Yeah.
donate a Bible for $5?
Yeah,
So
if it's
like,
$5, it's like it's a little more than people are willing to just give on a whim. You know,
Exactly.
for most people at least.
unless you're a pretty young girl, which we had a couple of, and they were incredible at selling.
Okay,
So
well, we don't have that.
and so I was terrible at that. And then the most annoying thing about the job is when I started, they gave me a binder with 100 pages front and back.
Was that like
50 pages front and back, so 100 pages total for training. Yeah. And I had to read the whole thing. There wasn't a test or anything, but that was my training. And then a couple months after I started, the whole company changed their training to this online thing where you had to watch.
Yeah, that was the worst,
so
right?
many videos.
Yeah,
And they were the
ridiculous
most
amount.
boring and longest videos.
Why did they think that was the way to go?
I
That's
don't
my
know.
question. Like,
But
why did they think?
even people who had been there for 5 years had to retake this training. And I'm not even exaggerating. It was maybe 20 hours for the new employee training, all the videos, all the tests and stuff. And you do get paid for it. But
Yeah,
you had to
but
do it in your
still,
own time,
Yeah,
which I didn't have a lot of because I was working two jobs
jobs.
at this time. By this time, I had started at Family Video. I was working 2 jobs. I was going to school full time. I was going to
see,
Allen.
that's ridiculous. I had the most I could work. I mean, I even cut my hours during the school year because like I couldn't handle working, you know, especially as much as you did for during school. No way.
And now I have to do this training thing. And the thing is, like, 20 hours. Yeah, it's a lot, but it's manageable, you know. But they added new training every month. And honestly, 15 hours of training every month, just about different Bible studies that are coming out, just so many things.
That
they
is
had
ridiculous.
monthly updates about the company and everything, and I didn't do it. I just straight didn't do it for over a year. And
I wouldn't want to do that. That's ridiculous.
it was terrible.
So compare that to your training for a family video.
What training?
Exactly. Didn't the first manager that like trained you? Didn't they like disappear right after?
I'll
okay, you're gonna have to tell that because that.
And so
freaked me out.
I got my hours cut at Lifeway just because it was a slow time of the year and all that kind of stuff. And so I got a second job at Family Video because like it's a video rental store. Like this is going to be
chill.
an awesome job. We're just gonna like
watch movies all
put
day.
movies away. Like I can do this. I can
chill.
do this. And so I killed the interviews. Everyone loved me. I'm not even gonna lie.
Everyone loved me. All right.
They loved
Good to know
Caleb
you're
more.
humble.
They loved Caleb more when they met him, but that was a year down the line.
It's because I'm humble.
Exactly. But yeah, so I got the job at Family Video, and kind of crazy. They trained me to close like right away.
Yeah, they started you like on the Black
in.
Diamond. Like, immediately.
And when I started, there were probably 3 or 4 other part-time people, a manager and assistant manager, which nowadays is crazy.
I know because
Right now
people
we
just
literally
disappear
have
from Family Video.
3 employees at the store.
Yeah,
and 1 is leaving.
You just lose. It's like we started at a large number and then they just slowly like drop off.
Yeah. And so a couple weeks in, they taught me to close the store. They gave me a key and everything, which I still didn't have a key to Lifeway, which
probably. You feel like you earned that.
And so they gave me a key, taught me how to close, and so my closing training consisted of the assistant manager at the time coming in drunk 30 minutes before we closed. She pretty much taught me how to close.
I mean,
as much as a drunk
person can do on short notice.
And so, and then she came in the next day. She was supposed to open, and it was a payday. Or she was supposed. It wasn't a payday. It was when she was supposed to submit the payroll stuff.
Yeah.
And so she opens the store. She submits the payroll stuff, and she leaves the store. She left the doors open. She left the lights on. She
just left the store unprotected.
Didn't give anyone any notice, and that was how she quit.
And she just disappeared. She never came back, did she?
We did find out later she was arrested a couple months ago.
She was arrested?
Yep.
What happened?
We didn't. I think it was some traffic thing.
Like a traffic violation?
Yeah.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Well, that's...
we found her in the newspaper.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that is...
Won't name names.
Ironic.
But then But at the time, she was the only manager because the manager at the time got promoted to district manager.
Right.
And
And that was Becky, right?
No, that was
Oh,
Tara.
okay. I never met her.
Yeah, she was awesome. But so now I am the second most experienced guy. Been there for maybe 2 months. No manager, no assistant manager.
Nobody to tell you like how to.
No
do
idea
things.
what was going on.
Yeah, you had to freaking
and
make
so
it up.
the store has been in ruins ever since. I'm just going to be honest.
But hey, you've gotten a lot better at your job. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd like to say like you're
I've been there for almost
you've been
2
there
years.
for a long time.
I better have gotten better.
Yeah, you've definitely gotten better. But
So the family. It's just been a trip.
it's been quite the journey.
We've had ever since I've started 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm the 5th manager in a year and a half.
5th manager in a year. Dude,
yeah. So it's been.
Yeah,
it's
I
just
came in like a year ago probably. It was after my freshman year.
Yeah, it was during the summer.
Yeah. Because I always when I heard Ryan got that job, I'm
going to be honest.
jealous.
I'm not. I do work. When I got the job, it was because I needed a part-time job.
Mm-hmm.
Movie rental store. Perfect.
I'll do it.
Now I somehow finagled my way up to manager.
To manager. Look at you go.
And I don't like movies that much.
It's impressive. You don't. And that's the thing.
And
like I love movies because
Exactly.
I'm kind
You
of
do.
like I'm crazy about movies.
And so that's why you were saying like that job was like
and
perfect
that job,
for you.
and I grew up going to that store to the store
never
that we
been.
work at.
Yeah.
Ryan had never even gone.
And so
I was
customers all the
so
time
jealous.
when I tell them, I was like, I'm not a huge fan of movies. Like, aren't you the manager? I'm like, yeah, I got it as a part-time job. I needed money in high school. Like I didn't do it. Oh, I love movies. I'm going to work in a movie rental store. No, that's not how it.
Me on the other hand,
you,
I do. Yeah. That's kind of and when you got the job, I was nervous to ask because like you were like going to be. I knew you had some pull, and I really wanted to be like, hey, can you get me a job there? But I was like, I don't want to be the guy who's like, hey, help me out.
By the time he was back in town for the summer, I was had been promoted to assistant manager.
To the regional manager?
Yes, yeah. And then the manager at the time, her name was Sarah. She was awesome.
She was great.
Me and her got along great. And I was like, hey, I know we need help right now. My friend.
My buddy Caleb.
If it's okay, like, he's looking for a job, and I think he'd be great here. And then she met him, and she fell in love with him and threw me to the side.
Yeah, literally fell in love.
Yeah, that was no, but
she was great though. But it was, and I was honestly, really excited.
That's the best the store has been.
Yeah, when Sarah, and then it was us there. Like that was we were a good team. We were a good solid team.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed that job. I still like it. I mean, I work I work there off and on when I can. I'm in college, so it's difficult. I'm not even in Topeka that much, but. I love movies, and then I love when people like come in. They're like, "Hey, do you know what kind of movie I should rent?
I hate that.
Any good action movies?"
I hate that.
See, Ryan hates it. I love it.
What's news come out recently, dude? We get 30 movies a week. What do you
want? Look at the board.
we have signs everywhere that say what have come out this past week. We have pamphlets. We have just look.
Look around. See,
what's
me
a
on
good
the other
comedy?
Hand, what's a good?
I don't know what kind of comedy. Do you want kids comedy? Do you want adult comedy? Do you want kind of media?
Yeah, dude,
action comedy.
I honestly, I kind of enjoyed when people ask because like I'd seen a lot of the movies and I could be like this movie.
I totally just copy what you say every time I hear you like, oh, what's a good horror movie? I like, I gotta listen because I don't know.
See, because if I haven't seen the movie, I've probably watched a video about the movie, between like Cinema Sins or like something on YouTube, and so I feel pretty prepared when people ask, and I take a lot of joy in being like, yeah, over here, I don't know what kind of movie you want to watch. People ask me like, what's the scariest movie you've ever seen?
Autopsy of Jane Doe.
And then like, what was that?
Autopsy of Jane Doe.
Autopsy. That was creepy. Okay, that's
what I tell people.
It was.
My friend
weird.
watched it,
so
and he couldn't even finish it.
Yeah. I couldn't finish it. I was alone in my basement. Okay, it was terrifying.
But okay, I think we should get to some difficult customer stories.
Difficult customers. Do you want to start with this, or do you want me to start?
I can,
because I've got a few. Okay.
You do. I'm excited for yours.
Oh gosh,
yours are great.
Dude, I'm still angry.
Yes, yeah. We still talk about it once a week.
Yeah, it comes up, and I need to vent about it. It builds up in my soul over time.
Oh, and real quick, I also delivered pizza for a couple months.
Yeah, but deliver is kind of a loose term.
Yeah, I was mainly a cook. I delivered one or two on a night.
Yeah. You didn't deliver a lot, but
No,
the job
sadly.
description was a little deceiving.
Yes, yeah. I had a couple good nights, but
Yeah.
I did that for 2 months, and it was okay.
It was all right. It was eight.
Yeah, I did it with my ex-girlfriend, so fun times.
yeah. It's just still friends.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Yeah.
Hey,
definitely,
you know who
yeah.
you are.
So at Sonic, I'll just start with Sonic because it was my first job. There are two instances that jump out to me. I'm sure I can think of
Yeah.
more difficult customer
Let the anger
stories.
take you over.
The first one was apparently this lady came here all the time. This was the first time I had her. But she ordered 2 grilled cheese.
The
kind of
grilled
weird,
cheese lady. And
Kind of a weird, like there's like a grilled cheese kids meal.
yeah.
But other than that, we
it's
don't
weird
sell a lot
to,
of
like,
grilled cheese.
yeah,
But
like it's
okay,
weird for people to ask
whatever.
just for a
It's
grilled
not-
cheese from Sonic.
Yeah. But whatever, we do it. 2 grilled cheese and
Yeah.
take them out to her. She doesn't say anything to me. She just rips the bag open, opens up the package. Nope, not cooked well enough. Take them back. I'm like, whoa,
Oh,
hold on,
wait,
what?
what?
It's like, they're not cooked enough. Every freaking time I come here, they're not cooked enough. Go take them back. I want them well done. And I'm like,
What?
okay.
It's not a steak.
Okay, for one, if this happens every time,
Why do you
ask
keep
for it
telling-
well done.
Yeah,
before,
ask for it.
Like,
say something.
we have,
what the heck?
it's
Who does
just
that?
super rude. And just,
Super rude.
And people are like, oh, yeah, grilled cheese lady. Yeah,
Grilled
it's
cheese.
her.
She's back. She's asking
Yeah.
for grilled cheese. Don't undercook her grilled cheese.
And it was ridiculous.
what?
And so
Who does that? Who?
I don't know, but like I was just so taken back
Also, yeah.
from that. But
Also, I have like it's not that hard to make a grilled cheese. So why doesn't she
Why-
like
yeah,
maybe
make it
maybe
yourself.
she has some
We didn't
you know,
have great grilled
throwing-
cheese. I've tried 'em.
Throwing the doubt.
bad,
yeah.
but
they're nothing
I can
special.
make it better at home.
Yeah. Seriously.
And so that just
That messes you up.
takes you back when you're not
Yeah.
expecting that at all.
Speaking of angry lady, I'll take this opportunity.
Okay.
Speaking of angry ladies, so this woman came in. This was one of my first days working for Family Video. I had worked a few days at our store, the one that I grew up going to.
Two stores in
Topeka,
where we
yeah.
live.
And so there's a smaller one, which is the one we work at, and that one I grew up going to, and I felt comfortable there, and I liked it. I knew some of the people who went there, but I got a call from the manager at the other store, and she's like, "Hey, we need someone to open at the other store. Can you do it?" And I was like, "I don't know. I've never opened before, but sure." And she's like, "Just I'll unlock the door for you. You go in." And, just turn stuff on. You don't have to worry about the normal opening stuff because I didn't know how to do it. She's like, just turn stuff on and get ready. And then it shouldn't be too busy. You'll be okay until someone comes in at 3 or something. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll do it. And I went in there, and this store's on a different side of town. It's kind of
a lot bigger.
It's a lot bigger. It's more popular. And I was not prepared for what was going to happen that day because I went in there and I did my best. Okay. And I was trying to turn stuff on. I had to make a few phone calls to be like, hey, how do I do this? Where's this at? But I got it mostly figured out. And it was generally okay. I had a few bumps, but nothing too bad until this woman walked in with all her kids, all 5 of her kids. She rented these video games, and we have a 2 for, what is it? No, rent one, get one.
Rent one, get one.
It's a rent one, get one.
On kind of the older games.
The older
not
games,
the new games.
yeah, not
but
the new ones.
Games that have been out for a while.
Exactly. So and I didn't know this, but you have to have both games have to be rent one, get one.
Yes.
You
can't get one new
you
game
can't get a
and
new
one rent
game,
one, get one.
and I didn't know that during this because it was I was new there.
Yeah.
So she brings it up. She brings a bunch up. I want to say 8. I think it was 8 video games. And I was like, and she's like, okay, and these are all rent one, get one. And I'm like, yeah, I think so. I was like, yeah, I think that's how it works. So I go in, I scan them all up, I get the games ready for her, and I put them in the system, and it's not adding up to the correct amount. It's not a buy one, get one. And so what ended up happening is I had scanned her card already, and so it ended up being it was a problem because that was the problem. I couldn't
swiped her credit card.
I had swiped her credit card, so it had charged, and I didn't know how to give her money back. So that's why I got into this problem where I was like, I need to give her money back, and I don't know how. And I told her, so she was a little upset, by this, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna fix this, and I was like, I can give you rental credit on your account. But that's the best I can do. I'm sorry, but I can put rental credit on your account. That's what I'm going to have to do. So I did that. I put rental credit on there, and she's like, well, did you figure it out? And it was taking time. And I was like, yeah. I put $15 on your account. And she's like, is it exactly right? And I was like, I I'm pretty sure it was more than enough. But I was like, I told her the truth. I was like, I'm pretty sure it's right. I'm pretty sure it's more than enough. And she's like, you better be 100% sure it's right. And I was like, oh my gosh, there was a line building up. Like I was in trouble.
And you're new, and
I was new. I was inexperienced.
Yeah,
I was freaking out, and she was not understanding at all, because the way it works is like rental credit. Like. It goes on your account, and I gave her basically $15 of just free for her to come
rentals,
in, and to rent more movies. I mean, that's what I could do, and I couldn't, because I made this mistake of swiping her card.
Yeah,
I couldn't take it back. Like it was out of my hands at that point. I had to do the best I could. So that's what I was trying to do, and she was just livid. She would not break, and she would look at me and give me this look like she was not going to leave until I got it exactly right. And so I brought out down to the cent. I got a calculator out. I started calculating all the video games. I said, okay, it's $14.67. That's what I owe you. So I put it on as rental credit, and I printed out her receipt. And I'm like, and I was getting real mad because the line was building up. She would not move. And I was like, this is ridiculous. She's not helping me out at all. She has no empathy.
And when you work at Family Video, a lot of the time you're just by yourself.
I was by myself.
You have no other help.
There was nobody else there. I couldn't just run over to the manager and be like, hey, help me out. How do I do this? I would have to call people.
Yeah, he's at the store alone.
Yeah, I'm at the store alone. And when you call people, it's difficult. Like, first of all, anything they tell you, it's going to get filtered through the phone. And it's like how they're not there. So
exactly.
Like, it complicates things. So that was just really frustrating. And I still remember that look on her face. And I was like, seriously? I'm struggling, and you are making it so much worse. You're not helping me at all. And that's one thing that's why it bothered me so much. Is like when you're dealing with somebody who's new, or like who you can tell is trying really hard to make it right, but they're new, they're struggling, then you don't make it worse for them, because she was like feeding off of my failure. She was like,
that was the best day of her life.
She was like, it was making her happy. I felt like she was waiting for an opportunity to just make me suffer.
I just want to ruin someone's day today.
Yeah. And it messed me up. I was like, oh my Lord. And she finally got out of there, but she took a look at the receipt, looked at me, and just shook her head and walked out. And I was like, what else could I have done? I'm so, like, what happened, lady? And then, dude, should I talk? Yeah. So this was the same day, this exact same day. So we have these things, and this one's more on the customer, because
100%.
This is 100%, because so we have these things called digital codes.
They come with the movies that we buy. Like, the movies come like the combo packs. It's like a Blu-ray DVD and then a digital code.
Yeah.
Which is a little code that you can go online,
go to a website,
iTunes, something like that, and just download the movie onto
your computer or
like or
a tablet or something. But there's no actual disc
it's not
in the
disc.
case. It's not a real thing. It's a code. And we try to make that clear to people before they buy them. So this man walks in, probably like 50-ish, and he walks up with these movies, and I'm like, oh, okay. And it was my first digital code sale. So I was like, hey, this is cool.
Yeah, and not very many people love
they're not very popular. And I told him, I'm like, hey, so these are digital codes. You go to a website and you download the movie, and then you have it on your computer. I failed to say that there's no disc there. And ever since then, I've said that there's no disc, and I open it up and make it clear, because people won't understand, because this guy bought them. He's, oh, yeah, sure thing. Walks out of the store with them, comes back like 30 minutes later and says, hey, you forgot to put my movies in. And I was like, what? And he shows me the case, like, they were empty. And I was like, they're actually digital codes, as in there's not a disc. It's a code that you put in on your computer. And he goes, why would I buy that? And I'm like, are you kidding me?
Why did you buy it?
You obviously didn't know what it was. And so I was like, seriously, dude? And he lost one of the codes. He must have like opened it up in his car and like just lost the paper, because I opened it up and he only had one. And I was like, hey, do you know where the other paper is? He's like, you didn't give it to me. And I was like, and I took a breath, because I know for a fact I was selling him those codes, so I know for a fact I put the code in there. And he's like, nope, I didn't have it. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I can't do a refund unless I have the actual thing there.
Yeah.
Like, I have to get something back. I can't just give you the money. So, like, I gave him back as much as I could. And then I was like, I can give you some rental credit, but since we don't have the barcode, I can't just give you money. And he's like, well, fine, but make sure, that you do it right. So it took me time, and this was after like this. I'd already dealt with that angry lady, and this guy was in, and the line was building up again, and I'm like, this is a disaster. This is my first day at the other location, and everything's falling apart. And I was alone, and I felt like, I'm like, what is happening right now? And then, so finally, the manager comes in. I tell her what happened about all this stuff, and she's like, oh yeah, you do this, and I learned from it, so that's good.
Yeah,
but
I learned from it too. So.
Yeah, it was a terrifying experience for like a first day.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
It was brutal. That woman though, that man, some people just don't understand, and it's funny and it happens, and it's like, seriously, are you kidding me? Mm-hmm. And I've made clear ever since then. So that was a learning experience, but he wasn't a total jerk about it. That woman was unforgiving. She would not bend down. I was like, I'm struggling here and I'm trying to help you out, and I'm sorry that I made a mistake, but what else am I going to do? You know?
Yeah.
So it was a mess.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the ones that stick with me. Like those are two stories of just like, seriously, and then one of them that's just like, what, you heartless monster.
Yeah. Apparently, the what I learned at Sonic is the worst thing you can do to someone is put mustard on their burger when they ask for no mustard.
You evil.
So
person.
if you don't have Sonics, I think they're not quite nationwide.
They're almost nationwide. I mean, America's drive-in, but they're definitely like kind of a Midwest base. Like, I don't even know if they have them in California.
Yeah,
like a West Coast.
Not sure.
I don't
know
if
it's
they have them.
It's a drive-in, so you don't go inside the store. I think there's some locations where
there's
they have
one
inside.
in Auburn between on my drive back from college. There's one that has an inside sitting, which is just weird.
Yeah,
like
99% of them is you drive up to a stall, you order at the stall, and they bring out your food, and then you leave. There might be some like outside sitting, but you don't go inside the store. Inside the store, at our store, is literally the kitchen and like where we take orders.
And it's it's where people work.
It's not customers don't go in there.
Should not be walking in there.
One day it was probably 6 or 7. It was around dinner time, but it wasn't super busy. We're just going about our thing. I think I was working drive-thru that night. And just doing our jobs, cleaning stuff up, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, we hear the door open, and a customer walks in. And every time a customer walks in, something weird is going on.
Because people don't just walk in there.
No, it's like walking into a kitchen of any restaurant.
Yeah, it's odd unless you're like needing to talk to the chef or something.
But I mean, you can press the button and talk to someone immediately outside.
So, so why would you?
Why is he coming in? And then the curse words start. I haven't heard someone curse that much in the 30 seconds that he was there. All because we put mustard on his burger and he asked for no mustard.
Are you kidding me?
And he literally threw the burger on the ground and demanded that we make him another burger because we put
mustard on it.
Yes,
he
walked inside, threw it on the ground, just started yelling
on the ground.
Everyone. Yeah, exactly.
What a jerk! What was he thinking?
Dude, was my favorite manager at the time, other than my brother.
Other than Zach. Yeah.
She was working. Him was Becky, the sweetest,
Becky. I remember
sweetest
Becky.
lady. She was awesome. She was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen her so pissed. She yelled at the guy, "If you don't get out of my store right now, we're gonna call the cops." All this kind of stuff. And he's like, "You need to back me up." No, you need to get out of my store. I'm gonna call it. And she just went off on this guy, and it was awesome.
It was great.
See.
Well, he's upset about mustard on a burger. You do not walk into a kitchen and throw a burger on the ground because you're
and start
upset
cussing at everyone.
Yeah, that is so unnecessary.
People
don't do that. Just don't do that.
Yeah. And then
it's an easy fix too. If you just were to press the button or
hey, you put mustard on my burger. Can I get one with mustard?
Or
of
you know
course.
What? Eat the burger anyway.
Suck it up.
You know what I would do?
Adult.
Yeah, be an adult and understand you're not always going to get your way.
That's life.
That's life. C'est la vie.
Oh, and then when you were telling your story about just customers who were just ridiculous, it reminded me of one more family video incident. I was still fairly new at this time. Becky wasn't the district manager. She was still working at Marcos at the time. And so thankfully, when this happened, our district manager was in the store. And so it was me, just still a part-time worker, still fairly new, been there for a month or two. And the district manager was in just doing some checkups stuff.
Yeah.
And I got this phone call. I'm like, hey, thanks for calling Family Video. This is Ryan. How may I help you? Cuss
this
words.
the woman?
Immediately. No, it's a guy.
Oh, it's a different. Okay,
but
yeah, that's a different woman. We'll have to talk about her next.
But curse words immediately. Like, why do I owe you guys $200 something? I'm like, whoa, what? I'm sorry. He's like, I got a call from you guys yesterday saying I owed you guys over $200. What is this about? What? I'm like, hold on. Okay,
hold on.
What's the phone number for you? And he gave me his phone number. Looked at his account. He had 15 movies that were 25 days past due date. If how it works is we basically just recheck them out to you.
Yeah, it's basically a re-rental fee. It's not. It's not a late fee per se. It's just you're just re-renting the movie
minus any specials. And so
yeah,
if you
minus
deals,
if you have a deal.
We don't
like. Yeah, that's why we tell people to like call in and re-rent stuff if they have like half price because it's like that will actually make a difference.
Because you get the deals.
Yeah.
But once they're 25 days late, we basically take off their late charges and charge them the price of the movies. And so what it would cost us to buy another copy, that's what we charge them.
You don't just charge them into infinity,
exactly,
you know, like
and
into
25 days
is
the
number.
Cutoff.
Yeah.
And so yesterday, his movies were 25 days past due date. Someone gave him a call, let him know, like, hey, you have 15
I've
movies
done
checked out.
You call people and
hey, you owe us like
a lot of money,
$200. Like,
yeah,
you know, if you've got
can you bring those movies back.
Yeah, exactly. And so he calls and he went off on me for probably 5 minutes. I assured him several times that it wasn't me who called him because he threatened to fight.
To fight you?
He literally threatened to fight the person who called him. He's like, I want to know who it was. I want to meet him in the parking lot if you know what I mean. I'm like,
what?
Dude,
are you kidding me? We're just doing our job.
Exactly.
Like literally, that's part of our job. We call people and let them know.
I didn't get an email. I didn't get any phone calls.
Well, you got one phone call.
And it's like, and you guys just gonna say, I owe you guys $200. This is not how you run a business. I'm a business owner. This is not how you run a business. You know, I'm gonna tell all my customers to never come to your store again. All this kind of stuff.
Gosh.
And I'm like, dude, new here. I don't.
What?
Why are you going off on me?
Doing this?
And so eventually, I just hand the phone to my manager. That's why. Thankfully, he was there.
Thankfully, yeah, he was there.
Because he saw the look on my face. He was like, "Give me
something."
The phone. He's like, "Hey, what can I help you with?" Because he's just manager trying to be as cheerful as possible. And then he heard the whole rant. And so he kind of explained it to him. I was like, "Hey, sorry, we send out 3 emails and we make 3 phone calls before it gets to this date. Kind of weird how none of that got to you, though. I don't know how that happened. I'll definitely check on that.
I'll definitely check.
Kind of.
Yeah, pacify.
Exactly. But like, hey,
Dude.
we send emails and phone calls, but sure they didn't get to you, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
like, he's like you're lying.
You're lying and you probably just didn't check.
Yeah.
But,
and so finally he was like, all right, man, I'll tell you what, you know, well, we took out the late fees for you. We just charged you the price of the movies. If you pay half of that, you know, we'll take the other half off for you. No, that is bullcrap. I'm not even going to give these movies back to you if you're going to charge me all this money for them. He's like, hey, we'll work with you, man. We'll work with you. You know, just pay like $50. Yeah, just pay a little bit, you know, and we'll work with you. He's like, no. And eventually he's like, dude, if you bring those movies in today while I'm here, I'll take it all off for you, all $250 or whatever it was. And so the guy comes in and returns the movies. He did. Yeah. Threatened to fight me a couple more times. Again, had to assure him it wasn't me, man. I don't know who made the call. It wasn't me. He's like, sure, I'll meet you in the parking lot. I'm like, dude,
why do you want to fight me?
I didn't work yesterday. It wasn't me.
Why do you want to fight? That's like fighting somebody. That's like fighting, you know, a realtor for doing their job.
Yeah.
That's just stupid.
So, he was very insistent about meeting in the parking lot.
Catch me outside.
Yeah. You're a horrible person. But thank God my district manager was there that day.
Dude,
we took everything off for him. He kept saying that he was going to tell all his customers to never shop.
To never show up.
I'm like, dude,
it's a video store, dude, and it's not even like it's not that strict either. Like I have to say, you know, if you pay like just a little bit, like we appreciate. Just
it makes
people paying.
Our job
it makes
easier.
Our job so much easier.
You know, we want to help you because we don't want to have to deal with.
We're not going to break your kneecaps. We're not going to.
If you're happy, then it makes our job easier.
Yes.
And so we want to make you happy. That's how
basically
it is.
what it. Yeah, that is what it is. What it is. And then it's like, you know, we're a video store in 2018 now. So
yeah, I mean. We
need people to be happy because they need to come in and rent movies. we can't afford to be picky.
Literally took off $200+ of charge on his account.
Late charges.
Just, you know, and
it's not enough. He's not happy with that.
Yeah,
dude. So I was gonna bring up the phone call. The woman who, or I'm assuming whoever it was who would call and ask about those, what was it, Berenstain movies?
God, that
was so strange.
See, I was not convinced it was a lady.
I don't know who it was. It was hard to tell. The voice was very like. Just
I forgot about this. This was a while ago. This was back when Caleb was still.
I was still
working there. It was still that summer.
It was that summer, yeah.
And so one day I get a call, and it was a very high pitched man or a lady.
Yeah.
And the call I got was like, again, working alone, so I'm taking the phone call. I can't help customers.
Yeah, you just
that
answered
kind of
the
stuff.
phone. Yeah, you got to answer the phones.
It's like, hey, do you have? It wasn't Berenstain Bears, but let's just say it was. I can't.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was, but
it was it was
the Wiggles. It was the Wiggles.
Yeah, it was like, hey, do you have the Wiggles? I'm like, yeah, I think we have some. And then he asked for a very specific one.
Like a certain Wiggles. Yeah.
I was like, no, looks like he used to have that, but it wasn't returned back to us. Was it damaged? No, looks like it just wasn't returned. Was it damaged though? No, it just wasn't. Okay, what Wiggles do you have? Like we have like six or seven. It's like which ones do you have? So I went over there and just read them off. Which ones do we have?
We have quite a few actually.
Are any of them damaged? No, those are the ones that we have in stock. But which ones are damaged? Like what? And then he asked for another Berenstain Bears or something like that.
You were on the phone for a while.
It was like 15 minutes. I had customers in line. Eventually, I was like, "Hey, is there anything else I can help you with? I got customers."
Like, I need to go.
Nothing. And I guess they hung up. It's like, okay, so I hung up on him.
And so you told me this story.
Yeah. And then the next day, he called back.
Really?
Yeah. He called back. Same thing. He asked for the Wiggles and went through that thing. Then